The great hall of the Galactic Palace was filled with laughter and shining lights. Alien nobles sat on golden chairs, wearing strange glowing clothes. Guards stood like statues, their weapons ready. At the end of the hall, high on her throne, sat the Galactic Queen. Her eyes were sharp, her skin like silver glass, and her crown floated above her head. She looked down at the man dragged before her, dirty, wounded, and in chains. A human. The nobles laughed louder, calling him weak, calling him a monkey from Earth. One of them threw a fruit at him, and it hit his face. Still, the man didn't fall. He stood tall, even in chains, his eyes meeting the Queen's without fear. The room grew quiet. The Queen raised one hand, and the guards stopped. "Your name," she said, her voice echoing like music. "Jake," he replied simply, not bowing, not kneeling. A few gasps ran through the room. He was bold, or foolish, or both. "I have heard of your kind," the Queen said, standing slowly. "Strange little creatures with loud mouths and short lives." Jake didn't reply. She smiled. "Curious. You are lucky, human Jake," she said, walking down the steps toward him. "I am in a generous mood today." The crowd leaned in, waiting. The Queen spoke again. "I will grant you 3 wishes." More gasps, more whispers. That kind of gift was rare, almost never given. "But choose carefully," she added. "Each wish changes your fate." Jake's lips moved slowly. "I've already chosen," he said. The Queen blinked. "Already?" He nodded. "Yes, speak then," she commanded, now interested. Jake looked around at the crowd, then back at her. His voice was calm, but strong. "I wish for you to unlock the memory vault of Sol 3. Everything stopped. The music, the whispers, even the wind. The Queen froze, her eyes wide. The nobles looked at each other in confusion, some with fear. What did you say?" she asked, her voice suddenly lower. Jake repeated, louder this time. "I wish for the memory vault of Sol 3 to be opened." A strange silence filled the hall, like time itself had paused. The Queen turned slowly to her guards, signaling them to leave. "Everyone out," she said, her voice shaking slightly. "No one is to remain." The crowd didn't argue. They stood and left quickly, eyes avoiding Jake's face. Soon, only Jake and the Queen were left in the massive chamber. The doors closed behind them with a heavy sound. The Queen walked slowly, circling him, her eyes never leaving his. "That vault is forbidden," she whispered. "No one should even know it exists." "But I do," Jake answered. "Who told?" she asked sharply. "No one," Jake replied. "I saw it in a dream, over and over, since I was a child." The Queen stopped walking, her face pale. "Do you know what lies inside that vault?" she asked. Jake shook his head. "No." "Then why ask for it?" "Because I feel like it's mine," he said. "Like it belongs to all of us." She sat on the edge of her throne, breathing slowly. "There are secrets in that vault, human," she said. "Old truths, ancient weapons, and things even I cannot control." Jake didn't move. "Are you afraid?" she asked, testing him. "No," he said. "You should be." The Queen stared at him for a long time. Then she did something strange. She laughed, not a cruel laugh, but a tired one. "You are either a fool," she said, "or something much more dangerous." Jake's chains fell off suddenly, dropped by invisible energy. He rubbed his wrists, still silent. "I will not grant your wish here," the Queen said. "Meet me at midnight in the Chamber of Echoes." Jake nodded. One guard returned and led him to a royal chamber. As he walked away, the Queen whispered to herself, "Who are you, Jake of Earth? And why does your wish make my heart afraid?" Far away, deep under the palace, something old began to wake. Something locked for thousands of years. The memory vault had heard its name again, and it was listening. The clock struck midnight, and the great palace stood quiet. The stars outside looked frozen in time, like they were waiting too. Jake walked through long, empty halls guided by the same silent guard. No one spoke, no one dared. They stopped before a dark door with silver patterns glowing softly. A guard stepped back, and the door opened by itself. Jake entered alone. Inside, the chamber of echoes felt alive. Strange energy hummed in the air, and the walls moved like shadows breathing. The Galactic Queen stood in the center. Number crown, no armor, just her. She looked less like a ruler now, and more like a woman burdened with memories. She didn't smile. She didn't speak. Not yet. Jake stopped a few feet away and waited, his face calm, but his heart was beating fast. "You shouldn't know about that place," the Queen finally said. "Yet you asked for it with such certainty." Jake said nothing, letting her speak. "The memory vault was locked 10,000 years ago." She continued, "It holds the history of your kind, the true story, not the lie the galaxy believes." Jake blinked. "Then it's real." The Queen nodded slowly. "More real than you can imagine." She walked toward a large stone tablet in the center of the room. With a wave of her hand, it lit up, showing stars, planets, and then Earth. But opening the vault, she whispered, "It's not just about truth." Jake stepped forward, his voice steady. "Then tell me, what's inside?" The Queen's hands trembled slightly. "Long ago," she said, "humans were not weak. They were leaders, warriors, even gods to some species. They built empires across stars, then vanished without a trace." Jake stared at the glowing image of Earth. "So we were powerful," he said. "You still are," the Queen answered. "But your kind was erased on purpose." Jake frowned. "By who?" She turned her head, looking away. "By us." The words hit Jake like a storm. "You mean the Empire?" The Queen nodded, guilt in her eyes. "We feared humanity," she admitted. "You were too wild, too clever, too different." Jake's fists clenched. "You wiped us out," he said slowly. The Queen looked at him, not denying it. "Yes, we tried," she said. "But we failed." Jake took a step closer. "You're afraid of what's in that vault because it proves what you did." She didn't answer, but her silence said everything. "You could have killed me today," Jake said. "Why didn't you?" The Queen touched the glowing image of Earth inside. "Because when you spoke those words, I felt something I haven't felt in centuries. I felt human." Jake stared at her, confused. "What do you mean?" The Queen turned to him, her voice quiet. "My mother was human," she said. "It's a truth I was forced to hide all my life." Jake's eyes widened. "That's why you know the old language," he whispered. "That's why you're drawn to Earth." She nodded. "I am not like the others," she said. "I understand your pain because half of me carries it." Jake looked down for a moment, then back at her. "Then help me," he said. "Let the galaxy know the truth." The Queen's face grew sad. "If I help you, everything I rule will fall," she said. "The nobles will call me traitor. The Empire will burn." Jake didn't look away. "Then let it burn," he said softly. "If it was built on lies, it deserves to fall." For a long moment, she said nothing. Then slowly she nodded. "Very well," she said. "But once the vault is opened, nothing will ever be the same." Jake smiled. "That's the point." Deep below the palace, the old locks on the vault began to crack, stone by stone, seal by seal. It was waking, and the stars seemed to flicker, as if the universe was holding its breath, because the truth, long buried, was about to rise again. The room was dark, but Jake knew he wasn't alone. He opened his eyes slowly. The ceiling above him shimmered like soft glass. He sat up in the bed given to him by the Queen, not trusting its comfort. Outside, the night was silent. Too silent. Even in a palace this large, something about the quiet felt wrong. Then he heard it, the soft sound of breath that didn't belong to him. He moved quickly, just as a shadow lunged from the corner. A blade flashed near his face, and he rolled off the bed. The figure struck again, fast, silent, trained. Jake grabbed a pillow, blocked the blade, and kicked the attacker backward. Whoever it was didn't speak, didn't grunt. They moved like water smooth, practiced, deadly. But Jake had survived worse things on Earth, and he wasn't going down Easily, he grabbed a chair, swung it wide, missed, then dropped into a lower stance. The figure rushed him again. And this time he grabbed the attacker's wrist and twisted. The blade fell, and they both tumbled to the ground, struggling for breath and control. Jake pinned the attacker's arm, then ripped off their hood. He froze. The assassin was not some alien monster, but a girl, young, with strange green markings on her cheeks and sharp eyes full of hate. She hissed at him in a language he didn't understand, until she switched. "You should have just stayed asleep," she growled in English. Jake narrowed his eyes. "You speak my language." She spat on the floor. "I was born in your language." He held her tighter, unsure what she meant. "I'm not here to kill you because I want to," she said. "I was raised in the Galactic Labyrinth, where they train us with Earth tech and Earth words." Jake loosened his grip just a little. "So you're like me?" "No," she said coldly. "I'm like what's left of you." They sat in silence for a few seconds, breathing hard. Then Jake slowly let go and stood up, offering her a hand. She slapped it away, but didn't attack again. "Why did they send you?" he asked. She looked away. "Because you said the forbidden words." Jake understood now. The Queen wasn't the only one afraid of the vault. Others wanted to stop him before it opened. "Did she send you?" he asked. "No," the girl replied. "She told no one. This came from the council." Jake sighed, rubbing his neck. "Figures," he said. "They'll send more, won't they?" The girl nodded. "They won't stop until you're dead or silenced." Jake stared out the window, his face calm but his mind racing. "I don't plan to die," he said. "Not until I know the truth." The girl stood too, her muscles still tense. "I failed," she said. "So now they'll kill me instead." Jake looked at her with tired eyes. "Then stay," he said. "Help me instead." She shook her head. "Why would I help the man I tried to murder?" Jake smiled just a little. "Because you're not a killer, not really." She turned her back, thinking. Her hands trembled slightly, but not from fear. Jake noticed, but said nothing. After a moment, she whispered, "I've always wanted to know what's in that vault too." Jake picked up the fallen blade and handed it back to her. "I need someone who knows how this place works," he said. "If you stay, you're my ally." She took the blade and looked at it for a long time before sliding it away. "My name's Kayla," she said finally. Jake nodded. "Jake, outside." The room. Footsteps echoed down the hallway. Kayla and Jake moved fast, hiding behind the wall near the door. Two armored guards passed by, speaking in low voices. "Security reports a system shift near the vault." One said, "It's waking," said the other. "It really heard the wish." Jake and Kayla exchanged a glance. They had little time now. The game had begun, and the Empire was already moving against them. But in that moment, Jake didn't feel fear. He felt something sharper, hope. Far beneath the palace, in the dark heart of the world, the vault pulsed with light, like a heartbeat returning after death. The truth was stirring, and it had no master, only a purpose to be known. The throne room was full again, but the air felt different this time. The nobles were tense, whispering with nervous faces. Galactic Queen sat still on her floating throne, but her fingers tapped the side. Everyone was waiting for the human to speak his second wish. But when Jake walked in, they didn't laugh like before. They watched him with fear now, not because of what he might say, but because of what he already had. Beside him walked Kayla, the assassin who had once been sent to kill him. Her eyes scanned the room, her hand resting on her hidden blade. The nobles saw her and grew silent. Jake stopped at the center of the room and looked directly at the Queen. "I'm ready," he said. The Queen gave a slight nod, hiding the worry in her eyes. "Then speak your second wish, Jake of Earth," she said. The room held its breath, every alien in the hall frozen in anticipation. Jake looked around slowly before speaking. "I wish," he said, "for every human prisoner held by the Galactic Empire to be freed." A single cup dropped from someone's hand and shattered against the floor. The silence that followed was Worse than shouting. The queen didn't move, but her eyes widened. "You dare ask this before my court?" she said softly. Jake nodded. "I do." One noble stood up in rage. "You fool! Those humans are dangerous, traitors." Another shouted. "Some of them were locked away for a reason." Jake turned toward them calmly. "Maybe they were," he said. "Or maybe you just didn't want them to remember who they were." The queen stood, her voice sharp. "Silence!" The court obeyed instantly. She looked at Jake with deep concern. "You understand what you're asking?" she said. "Do you truly want to break open the old prisons? The hidden camps?" "Yes," Jake replied. "It's time." The queen closed her eyes, and a glow spread from her crown. Her voice echoed as she spoke the ancient command, "By royal power and the law of wishes, let it be done." In that moment, lights across the galaxy flickered on distant moons. Prison doors began to hiss and unlock. Guards screamed as alarms sounded, in forgotten stations floating in dark space. Human eyes blinked open for the first time in decades. Chains fell, and voices rose, confused, afraid, and angry. They didn't know who had freed them, but a name had already begun to spread across stars. Jake. Back in the throne room, the nobles panicked. "He's starting a war!" One cried. "No, he's starting a memory," said Kayla, stepping forward. "They were never dangerous," she added. "They were only forgotten." The queen sat again, her face pale. "This is bigger than you know," she said to Jake. "There are old codes, hidden protocols that will awaken." Jake didn't blink. "Then let them come." A strange buzzing sound filled the chamber. A hologram flickered into view beside the queen. A robotic voice spoke. "Alert, vault seal. Weakening. Phase 2 approaching." The nobles gasped again. "The vault," whispered the queen. "Your second wish triggered it further." Kayla leaned closer to Jake. "You just sent a message across the galaxy," she said. "Now everyone's going to come for you." Jake smiled faintly. "Let them try," he said. "I still have one wish left." Unknown to them, in a far-off system, a ship turned its course. Its crew wore black armor and spoke no words. They had no flag, no name, only. A mission erased the one who wished. As the ship vanished into hyperspace, a screen on its wall showed Jake's face. And the words, "Wishmaker terminate on sight." But even as danger closed in, across the stars, something new was blooming. Humans who had lost hope were beginning to rise. They remembered old songs, old names, and the feeling of pride won. Voice became many, and the silence of the past was breaking. The galaxy had tried to bury Earth, but Earth had a heartbeat, and Jake had just made it echo again. A storm was building inside the palace, though no rain fell from the skies. Not a real storm, but one made of whispers, stares, and hidden hands. Jake felt it the moment he stepped into the hallway outside his chamber. Servants froze when they saw him. Guards stopped talking when he passed. Even the walls seemed to watch him now. Something had shifted since his second wish. And it wasn't just the power of the vault. It was fear growing, crawling, spreading like smoke in the lungs of the Empire. Kayla noticed it too, her hand never far from her blade. "They won't try another assassin," she said softly. "Not yet." Jake gave her a look. "Then what?" She glanced around, her voice low. "They'll smile to your face while poisoning your food. They'll bow before you and stab you the moment you turn around." Jake believed her, and he also believed they weren't just scared of what he wished. They were scared of what he might wish next. One wish left, and an empire holding its breath. That evening, the queen invited Jake to a private dinner, not in the grand hall, but in her garden, a place filled with glowing trees and singing air. It looked peaceful, but Kayla refused to sit. She stood behind Jake, watching every movement. The queen poured her own drink, took the first bite, and then looked at him. "You've broken something," she said quietly, "and now we must live in the pieces." Jake didn't smile. "I didn't break it," he replied. "I just removed the mask." The queen sighed, her silver eyes dim. "Do you think truth can rule?" she asked. Jake shook his head. No, but lies can't last forever. Before she could reply, a messenger ran into the garden, breathless. He kneeled and whispered into the queen's ear. Her face changed, slowly, like ice melting into water. Then she stood up, looked at Jake, and said one word, "Come." They moved fast through the palace, Kayla at their side, downstairs, past guards, into a chamber filled with screens and blinking lights. A general stood waiting, his face pale. "They're here," he said. "The black ships." Jake didn't know the name, but the way everyone else reacted told him it was bad. Assassins? He asked. "Worse," Kayla said. Erasure teams sent when the council wants someone wiped from history completely, on the screens. Black ships floated just outside the planet's orbit. No signals, no warnings, just waiting. "They want me," Jake said. "They want your memory," the queen replied. "Gone, like Earth's past, buried again." Kayla drew her blade, her eyes burning. "We can't fight those ships," she said, "but we can run." Jake shook his head. "I won't run," he said. "Not now." The queen turned to him, desperate. "Then what will you do?" Jake looked straight ahead. "I'll show them I'm not afraid." That night, Jake walked out onto the high balcony of the palace. The stars above him, the city below glowing like veins of light. He took the queen's ancient voice box, a small device that could send his voice across worlds, and spoke. "To the black ships," he said, "you came for my silence, but I have one wish left. You fear it." He continued, "Because you know I won't wish for safety or power. I'll wish for something that will break your hold forever. I'll wish for the galaxy to remember what you made it forget." The signal went out, and across 100 systems, humans in hiding stood up, on mining colonies, in prison, caves, on forgotten Earth-like moons. His voice reached them all. Not just words, but hope. And for the first time in 1,000 years, hope made the Empire afraid. Inside the black ships, faceless commanders spoke one order: prepare to erase. The vault had already stirred deeper. Old systems awakened. Ancient AI flickered to life. And a final lock, untouched for millennia, began to open. Jake stood tall on the balcony, the wind rushing past him. Behind him, Kayla tightened her grip on her weapon. Beside her, the queen whispered, "You've just started a fire we can't put out." Jake nodded slowly. "Then let it burn." Asterisk, the stars above the palace blinked like nervous eyes. The ground trembled slightly, but it wasn't from machines or footsteps. It was something older, something deeper, something waking beneath them. Jake stood in the war chamber, watching. A screen flashed with warning signs. Symbols from an ancient time rolled across it, ones even the queen could not read fully. But Jake could, not because he studied them, but because they came to him in dreams, like memories returning home. The queen leaned forward, her voice low. "The vault is almost open," she said. "Once it unlocks, your final wish will be too powerful to stop." Jake didn't respond right away. He was listening to the strange hum echoing from the walls. It wasn't a sound, not truly. It was more like a heartbeat, steady and waiting. Kayla entered quickly, her face tight with tension. "They're not waiting anymore," she said. "The black ships are moving." Jake nodded. "Then it's time." Kayla looked confused. "Time for what?" Jake turned away from the screen, his eyes sharper than ever. "For my final wish," he said. "I know what it has to be now." The queen stepped closer, alarm in her voice. "You must understand, Jake," she said. "This isn't just about you or your people anymore. This last wish, it can break the galaxy or rebuild it." Jake met her eyes calmly. "I'm not choosing just for humans," he said. "I'm choosing for everyone who's been lied to." Suddenly, alarms blared through the palace. The black ships had sent down pods, silent, fast and deadly, not to kill Jake, but to destroy the vault itself. "They want to erase the truth," Kayla said, "not just stop you and everything." Jake grabbed the ancient control key the queen had given him and started to run. "Then we have to reach it first," he said. "The vault has to open before they can touch it." They ran through narrow tunnels beneath the palace. Wind pushed against them. even without air moving. The vault was pulsing now, like a sleeping god about to wake. Lights along the walls lit up as Jake passed, reacting to his presence. No guards followed. No nobles dared come. Only the three of them, Jake, Kayla, and the Queen, moved toward the place no one else had dared enter for centuries. At the final gate, a massive stone stood with an imprint shaped like a human hand. Jake stepped forward, raised his hand, and pressed it against the stone. It was warm, alive, and it pulsed once beneath his skin. The stone cracked down the middle with a quiet sigh. The vault opened. Inside, it was not filled with gold or weapons. It was filled with memory. Floating crystals, old recordings, broken statues, and a giant glowing tree made of light. It hummed gently, and its roots floated through the air. The Queen gasped, falling to her knees. "This is the beginning," she whispered. Jake stepped to the center and looked up at the glowing tree. A voice echoed from it. Not loud, not mechanical. It was soft, almost like his own voice. "Speak your final wish," it said. Jake looked around the vault, at the forgotten truth of human greatness and the long betrayal that followed. He thought of the children born in chains, the workers who died never knowing their own history. He thought of Kayla, trained to kill him, now standing by his side. And he thought of the Queen, half human, raised in fear, yet still strong enough to help him. "I wish," Jake said, "for all memory to be shared. Let every species, every planet, every being know what was hidden. Let the truth live in every mind." The vault did not explode. It bloomed. A wave of light swept through the galaxy, soft and unstoppable. Crystals cracked open on distant worlds. Statues wept tears of fire. Ships paused in space, unsure why their crew suddenly cried. The past returned, not in anger, but in clarity, and high above, the black ships froze, their systems failing as their pilots dropped to their knees. They remembered somehow what they were never supposed to know. They dropped their weapons and powered down back in the vault. Jake fell to his knees, exhausted. Kayla caught him, her voice quiet. "You did it," she whispered. The Queen stepped forward, tears glowing on her cheeks. "No," she said. "He didn't just win. He changed everything." For a moment, the galaxy stood still. No war, no whispers, no lies, just silence. But it wasn't the silence of fear or death. It was the kind that came before a sunrise. Every world, every mind, every species felt it at once. The truth had been shared, and now everything had changed. Jake lay on the floor of the vault, eyes closed, heart steady. The light from the glowing tree had faded, but its warmth still filled the chamber. Kayla knelt beside him, watching his chest rise and fall. He was alive, but barely. The Queen stood quietly, her hands shaking, her face unreadable. "No one has ever used the last wish like that," she whispered. It wasn't a gift for himself, it was a gift for the galaxy. Outside the palace, the streets were full of confused voices. Aliens remembered things they were never taught. Old paintings now made sense. Old words returned to their minds. Like rivers finding their path, in schools, in temples, even in prisons. Stories of Earth resurfaced, not of weakness, but of courage, kindness, and unstoppable will. The galaxy remembered the humans not as broken shadows, but as stars who once led the way. But not all were thankful. From the cold corners of power, the nobles gathered in secret. "He must be removed," one said, "before he becomes a symbol." Another growled, "We can't erase the truth anymore, but we can erase the man." They formed a plan, swift and quiet, but it was already too late. The people had already spoken, in systems across light years. Statues of Jake began to rise, not built by him, but by those who now saw clearly. His name became a whisper of freedom, of awakening, and the Queen. She did something no one expected. She stepped down, on the great balcony. With a crowd of millions watching, she removed her crown. "I ruled with control," she said. But he ruled with honesty. The galaxy no longer needs a throne, it needs memory. She turned to Jake, now recovered and standing beside Kayla. "The crown is yours," she said softly. Jake shook his head. "I didn't wish for power," he said, loud enough for all to hear. "I only wished for truth." He looked at the crowd, at their many shapes, colors, and eyes. "And now the galaxy belongs to all of us again." Kayla stepped forward, still silent, still strong. She didn't need a title either. But her presence beside Jake told everyone where her loyalty now lived. Not to a flag or queen, but to a future built by choice. Not fear. In the weeks that followed, new councils were formed. Earth was marked again on star maps, not as forgotten, but as sacred. The vault became a place of learning, open to all species. Children came to sit beneath the glowing tree and ask questions. And sometimes Jake came too, sitting among them like just another student. He never claimed to be a hero, but the galaxy never forgot what he had done. On the edge of known space, a ship floated with no name. Inside it, a new recording played over and over. Jake's final words before the vault opened. "Let all memory be shared. Let truth live in every mind and in every corner of the stars." Even in the darkest places, something strange happened. People started telling stories again, real stories. And at the center of them, there was always a man from Earth. A man who made a wish not for himself, but for everyone.